Welcome to another video tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at this wood sign here. And the first thing that we want to do is unwrapping these boards. We really don't want to unwrap them as they're crooked because that just means more work while we're in the UV editor. So I'm going to go into my rotation. That's E for rotate. And I'm going to change this 2.6 to 0 and press enter, so it's rotated back to how it normally was. The next thing is this post. We're only going to texture or UV 1, so we don't need this other one here for right now, so we're just going to delete that because we'll duplicate this one after we do it. And we also don't need all of these bolts. We want to delete 3 and leave 1 because we'll eventually possibly UV 1 and then lay it out. Alright, so let's move on to the UVing phase here. We have post and front sign. So what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and attach, I'm going to call it wood sign, and under our edit geometry rollout we'll do attach and click the post only. This is just the wood pieces all together, and we could add more later, but for right now just these pieces here. And we'll go ahead and put our unwrap on there, and I go into polygon mode but just deselect, clicking off into the blank space. We're going to open our UV editor, and we kind of have a mess here of things, so I'm going to go ahead and do reset peel, and this kind of gives us our allocation of this is actually really nice because this kind of shows you approximately the size. If I kind of let's do front view. You can kind of see how they sort of line up in the approximate dimensions, which is kind of close to what we want. So this is kind of nice. This is about the height. So when we unwrap these, so for now what we can do is go ahead and scale these down a little bit. Just making them fit. And let's go ahead and get started with our first board, P for perspective. We're going to take on this board here. So let's go ahead and we'll select this back polygon here. And I can either do break or just quick peel. And that pulls it out here to the side. So this is the back side. And for the rest of this, I want to unfold the flap sides out. So what I'm going to do is actually go into, let me move this over so you can see better. I'm going to go into edit seams mode. I'm going to click off into the blank space here. So in edit seams mode, I'm going to click the edges, being careful. If you click one you don't want, Alt drag over it. And I'm just going to get the 4 corners of this board. Now I'm going to show you one method with this piece and a different method with the post. Okay, so we can do this a couple different ways, and I have 2 ways that I really like to do this. So we'll turn off edit seams. And we can go ahead and select our board. I got element mode on here, so I can just click, selects the whole thing. We'll do quick peel, and there we have it. Now this is a nice starting point, but this is not accurate. I mean, our UVs, this looks like this is one really thick, fat board, when if you look over here, this polygon is not that thick. I mean, this is way thinner. So we can go into edge mode, select this edge, press W, if we click and then hold shift, we can drag it straight over. And so you can see, oh, now they look a little bit more similar. Let's move this over just a little bit more. Look at that. Look at that. Just looks beautiful. So we can zoom out and see essentially all these other pieces need to go the same way. So I can grab the top, click and hold shift and drag down, and this should be a perfect square cut out in the corner here. Okay, so come over to the other side. Now the one way you can tell, right, is if we change our display to texture checker, then back to checkered pattern. You can see the bottom is really stretched, right? There's too many squares there stretched. So I'm just going to hold shift and drag it up. Alright, so we can zoom out and see here on the back side we want to connect this. And we can scale it down to kind of fit the just guesstimate length of this top tab here. And we want to switch to edge mode. And we're just going to check this edge to make sure, okay, it goes right here. So that's good. So we select this edge. We're just going to do a stitch custom, which will pull everything together. And since we were, let's see, let's try that again. Yeah, see, it moves it into place. Our lines aren't perfectly straight here, so I can just click this one and do loop. And here I'm going to go ahead and align vertically. Click this one, do loop, and align vertically. And we are good to go. We have this one unwrapped, so we can go ahead and start the other board here. So the top one for this particular board, being that I kind of already know how I'm going to unwrap it, I'm going to go into edit seams mode and do this one a little bit differently. I don't need to really do any stitching when you know where to put the seams. So I'm just going to put these seams around here, and this long back side here I'm going to make a blue seam. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Put a seam here, that U shape as well. So once I have my seams, I turn off edit seams. I'm going to select my post and just do quick peel. And let me try relax. I don't know. I don't know why, but man, it is off. That is for sure. I'll just move this out of the way here. Alright, so for the post, let's go ahead and get this kind of set up. This looks like a good width. This polygon here looks like it's about the same. So come up to the top one here and pull this down and make a perfect square. Do the same thing for the bottom. Click and hold shift. Make a perfect square. And each of these sides should be the same thickness, so we can, still using edge mode, we can just drag select these two. We're going to click and hold shift and drag it over until they're evenly spaced, like so. And then we're going to click this edge, hold shift, and drag this one over. And we just want to kind of make they're close to evenly spacing. So now what we can do is go ahead and do our pack custom, and that'll kind of place them. We're going to do our polygon mode, element mode, and this being that it's on top, I want this to actually go on top, and this one should be right here. And this post, when I duplicate it, if being that I want to have a different texture, it's going to fill up this spot right here. Okay, now for this board, I'm going to have you guys do the same thing that I did, whichever method you want to do this board. The one thing that I should note is that, right, the edges should line up exactly with this board. So to this line here, right, the outskirts should line up with the other board. When you're finished with your UVs, you're going to right click, collapse to, hold yes. You're going to go to element mode and select this post here and press W, hold shift and drag out a copy. We're going to clone to element and click OK. Turn off element mode and we're going to put our unwrap back on. And over here, I'm going to turn on object element mode, basically. Select this one and move it over side by side. So this is approximately what your UV layout should look like. Everything inside the lines, and the boards here, you will note right where the lines, the boards line up, because they are the same width and the same thickness, so to speak, or you could say the same length, but their widths are different. So that's the only difference, but they should line up on the sides here. And then we can do texture checkered and then checkered pattern so we can see the checkers and the UV map. You can take a screenshot of this and turn it in.